Welcome to part 6 of our live training session here with our all-wheel drive turbocharged B-Series Civic running on an Elite 2500. The last few videos, we've gotten the engine up and running. We've tuned it part throttle and wide open throttle, so fuel and spark timing are dialed in. We have our VTEC optimized. Now we need to take a look at day 2 of our engine as it's cooled down overnight. We're going to find that it has completely different fuel demands under cranking and post-start and warm-up enrichment. So we're going to be going in the first portion of the video, taking a look at that, making sure that we have that all dialed in. I'll show you some tricks using your closed-loop fuel correction, how that can guide you in making your adjustments into your post-start and warm-up enrichment tables. We're also going to be turning our attention into doing calibrating for the vehicle speed sensors in gear position. So if we want to run boost by gear or doing anything with speed-based within our calibration, we're able to do that in the future. We're also going to be taking a look at some motorsport features. So launch control and anti-lag and our rolling anti-lag features are all going to be set up here within the video. So we have a lot to learn. Let's jump into our video so we can check everything out. Welcome back to our live training session here with our all-wheel drive turbocharged B-Series Civic. Now we're on day 2 of our live training session, so I've let this vehicle sit overnight. In fact, I have it off the chassis dyno, and we're going to be taking a look at the cold start as the focus in the beginning of this video. We're going to be looking at cranking fuel, post-start fuel, warm-up enrichment, making sure that's okay. We're going to put it back on the chassis dyno, and then we'll go through a couple features, setting up our gear, setting up our speed calibration, looking at launch control, looking at rolling anti-lag. That's how I want to go and finish out this particular live training tutorial series for this car. So things we need to focus on when we're looking at our cold start fuel is going to be our cranking fuel. So let's jump into that. That's going to be our cranking fuel table here. This cranking fuel table is a percentage multiplier against our main VE table, whatever that's calculating for the injector pulse width as the engine is in cranking condition. So if we're taking a look real quick into our base fuel table here, let's jump back to our base VE table. We're going to find our little dot tracers right here. That's where it's sourcing the airflow estimation from when we're doing our cranking. And so we can see here the map sensor showing negative 1.5 inches of vacuum. Again, we're finding we're right here. So it's going to be taking a look at the estimated airflow based on our VE table. It's going to be taking a look at the injector flow rate. We know we have our target air fuel. If we can actually take a look here, target air fuel is 11.3 based on our target air fuel table. Real quickly here, we can see 0 PSI column here, where we want to be at 12.8 air fuel, but we do have an offset. The coolant temp correction is going to be offsetting our target air fuel by approximately here 2 points, which is where we get this value of 11.3. So we know what the airflow or the air mass estimation is going to be from our VE values. We know what our target air fuel is going to be, reestablish that, which is a richer target air fuel, which is going to be increasing the pulse width. And then we know what the injector's flow, we have all the injector data sorted out. It'll turn that into an injector pulse width. Now, from there, the cranking fuel under cranking conditions, it'll go in and multiply it and have a higher multiplier. So it'll go, in this case, the value is 200. So it'll go and double the injector pulse width value under cranking from where it calculates from the base table. And then as we get warmer here, as our coolant temp gets warmer, we're going to find that starts to dissipate and we have less of a multiplying factor here from our cranking VE table. Now, in addition to our cranking fuel, we have our fuel prime pulse. This is where it adds a huge burst of fuel for a very, very tiny amount of time. In fact, it's the first 1 or 2 cranking revolutions of the engine. This is going to be a pre-priming effect to get fuel into the combustion chamber because we have no airflow that's getting into the engine when we're trying to initiate the cranking. We're just started to rotate the engine around. We need to get some fuel in there, and this is the best way to go about this. So it's only going to be adding it for a very specific amount of time. We don't need to have our prime pulse table, but it's always good to include it. You have the option when you toggle on here under setup, main setup. If we go in here to our, let's look down our list here, max cranking RPM. So below 380, it'll be running all the values from our cranking fuel table. The fuel prime pulse table only adds for the first 1 or 2 cranking revolutions. Once it's moved off of that, once it counts that revolutions of the engine's cranking, it moves into the cranking fuel. So you can think of the prime pulse table as the pre-primer to get the fuel into the engine, and then the cranking more as your steady state cranking as it's cranking over. Now, once it exits our threshold here of 380 RPM, then it considers the engine to be running. Then it moves into looking at our base VE value, so that's our airflow estimation, whatever we have in our table. It takes a look at what we have for the post-start correction. That's the immediate correction after the engine's fired off for the first 5, 10, 20 seconds. And then it moves into working with our coolant temp correction. That's our warm-up enrichment. So it moves in that order of operation. So prime pulse, then cranking fuel, and then we have our post-start, then we have our coolant temp correction. We need to make sure all of this is right. Now we're on ethanol, so when we were building our base file, we added a lot more prime pulse and cranking fuel. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.